Hi everyone, it's another round of 20 questions, and this round is dedicated to anyone that enjoys this and anyone who enjoys the questioning more than the answering, or at least as much. I think I like the answers more, they're just hard to come by. 1. Maybe an easy one. What is Dale Cooper's main objective in Season 3, Twin Peaks: The Return? 2. In Part 3 of The Return, how does the Phoebe Augustine character know that, quote, when you, Cooper, get there, you will already be there? Does she have insight into Dougie? And if so, how? 3. Fire Walk With Me. Who's me? I think Fire Walk With Me means, in its most literal sense, travel by electricity between dimensions, but that would only be the first half of the phrase, and it doesn't account for the... But that would only be the first half of the phrase, and it doesn't account for the with me part. 4. What is the most likely reason that Diane sends Mr. C the coordinates to Twin Peaks in Part 16? Is it more likely to help Mr. C get Cooper? Is it more likely to help Coop get Mr. C? Or is it simply because she's there as Nido? Or something else? Remember, she says, "Oh, Coop, I hope this works," before sending the coordinates out. 5. Does the fireman scene in Part 1 of The Return take place after Part 18? Can we definitively rule this out? I think maybe we can, but I'm not sure. I have my doubts. 6. Something I've always overlooked, kind of stupidly. In 1975, 2 field agents went to arrest a murder suspect in Olympia, Washington, named Lois Duffy. Why did they go? Who might Duffy have killed? And which Lois Duffy was that person's killer? I suppose who Duffy killed is unimportant to the narrative, with the key point being this was the FBI's first encounter with this type of Blue Rose phenomenon, I think. But I'm still curious, how was her tulpa conjured? Was Duffy once a Red Roomer? Etc. And what does it mean that Philip Jeffries was there with Call for the Lois Duffy incident, i.e. the actual birth of the Blue Rose Task Force? And by the end of the story, he exists either inside some type of machine, or is a machine itself, or is some type of vapor from the machine. Philip Jeffries' trajectory is really wild, and he was there for the Duffy incident. 7. Before The Return, what was the conventional wisdom regarding this question? If Bob, and not Leland, was in the driver's seat, what was his motive in tormenting and trying to possess Laura? Was she in particular targeted? If so, why would it have been her? The Return suggests some answers, though not definitively. I think it's interesting. 8. Which one single word has the most potential as a doorway deep into the heart of the mystery that is Twin Peaks? It's not the word cousin, is it? Which word would you suggest? 9. Do we know, these are 2 unrelated questions, do we know who any of One-Armed Mike's victims are? And do we know if Doppelganger Leland is at all involved in Season 3? 10. Which single frame from Twin Peaks Season 3 pairs best with the title, The Return? Is there a quintessential single frame? 11. Does Twin Peaks have anything to say about the art of living? The art of living. 12. Why a remote control? Candy smashes Rodney in the face with a remote control. What kind of person is so single-mindedly obsessed with a fly that they will smash their boss in the face? I think most people can relate, being driven nuts by a fly. but that scene is a little crazy. And is there any symbolism in the remote control? 13. Is there a Jeffries-like entity communicating from within the fireman's machine in part 8? Probably not, but mildly interesting to think about. And this is the machine that the fireman emerges from behind as Dido is listening to the old-fashioned Optigan music. 14. How did the creators of this show get us to take the character of Philip Jeffries as a tin machine or kettle of some sort so deadly seriously? I mean, we take that character deadly seriously, which is quite the amazing feat. How did they do it? 15. Why exactly does Agent Cooper say not to touch that body of Mr. C in part 17? What does he know that makes him say this? 16. Was the letter from Linda to Richard already in the room before Diane and Dale arrived? Was it a piece of paper left behind by some random and annoyed person? Should we assume that two scenes placed side by side on film are actually side by side in time? 17. One of the most basic errors that I have made in thinking about Twin Peaks is a part 14 assumption that David Bowie's, quote, "Who do you think that is there?" line is referring to the Mr. C portion of Cooper. But that Philadelphia scene took place long before Mr. C escaped the so-called Red Room, so that doesn't really make sense. Does it? 18. The fireman, Dido, the golden orb, Laura Palmer. Is this closer to a birth or rebirth? 19. If you were hanging out with the fireman, would it be easy to blend naturally again with regular people? 20. What are 2 or 3 of your own top 5 questions about Twin Peaks? This is actually a pretty hard question for me to answer. I have hundreds, but I'm not really sure what my top 2 or 3 or even 5 would be. Very curious to hear yours, and I hope you have a good day.